Secret affairs, drug-fueled tours, million-dollar lawsuits, and breakups that birthed platinum hits. Oh yeah, we're talking about Fleetwood Mac, the rock band that turned complete emotional chaos into chart-topping gold. Fleetwood Mac makes The Real Housewives look like a book club between Stevie Nicks casting love spells in a velvet cloak, Mick Fleetwood hooking up with his bandmate's girlfriend, and Lindsey Buckingham getting kicked out over the phone like he forgot to RSVP to band practice. This band wasn't just making music, they were living in a 24/7 soap opera and recording it.
A living soap opera, because we're all ex-lovers and have shared houses together.
Think tangled love triangles, explosive studio showdowns, and enough cocaine to make Scarface say, "Whoa, slow down." So, whether you're here for the music or the mess, trust me, you're in the right place. Behind every legendary hit was a lover scorned, a friendship shattered, or someone storming out of the studio with a tambourine in hand. This is Fleetwood Mac, the drama that rocked the world. Let's get into it. Before Fleetwood Mac became the soundtrack to your mom's heartbreak and possibly her wildest party nights, they were just a ragtag bunch of blues-loving Brits chasing their rock and roll dreams. So who were the OGs of the Mac Pack? Let's roll back the vinyl.
And there it stayed for about just a little over a year as a four-piece band, and we were very much a blues band in those days.
In the late 60s, guitar genius Peter Green, born October 29, 1946, pulled together drummer Mick Fleetwood, born June 24, 1947, bassist John McVie, born November 26, 1945, and slide guitar wildman Jeremy Spencer, born July 4th, 1948. These guys were all talent, no drama, yet. Then came Christine Perfect, born July 12, 1943, the blues queen with a velvet voice, and finally our California dreamers, Stevie Nicks, born May 26, 1948, and Lindsey Buckingham, born October 3rd, 1949.
I guess about a week after that, Bob Welch left the group, and just on a hunch, they asked us to join. We didn't audition or anything.
A couple with chemistry, chaos, and the kind of tension that would fuel decades of hits. The band was growing, the talent was undeniable, and the real drama? Oh honey, it was just about to begin. All right, let's rewind to 1967, London, where blues was hot, egos were rising, and one guitar genius was ready to make some noise. Enter Peter Green, fresh off John Mayall's Blues Breakers, who basically said, "You know what? I'll make my own band, with blackjack and blues riffs." He named it Fleetwood Mac, and that's before Fleetwood or McVie even agreed to join his manifestation. Mick jumped in, but John McVie took some convincing until Peter slapped his name on the band. Iconic move. The lineup kicked off with Green, Fleetwood, and slide guitar wild child Jeremy Spencer, plus temporary bassist Bob Brunning, and made their live debut in August '67. McVie finally joined a few weeks later, and boom, the magic was born. Their debut album, Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac, dropped in early '68 and shot up to number 4 in the UK. The British blues crowd ate it up. Across the pond, crickets. But back home, they were it. More hits followed. Mr. Wonderful, English Rose, and the legendary Then Play On. They brought in young guitar god Danny Kirwan to form a triple axe attack, and with haunting dreamy hits like Albatross, Oh Well, and Man of the World, they had the UK completely hooked. But as their fame rose, Peter Green started spiraling. We're talking robes, crucifixes, and some very questionable LSD trips, including one wild experience at a Munich commune that fans say broke his brain. He started talking about giving away all the band's money and claimed he was hearing voices. By May 1970, Peter had enough. He bowed out after one last performance, leaving Fleetwood Mac without their founding visionary, and a lot of questions about what was next. The blues era was done, but the real drama was just beginning. Okay, now for the real tea. Because behind every hit Fleetwood Mac song is a love triangle, a breakup, or a who's sleeping with who situation that could rival any Bravo reality show. First up, Christine and John McVie, the OG Mac couple. They met on the blues circuit, tied the knot in '68, and Christine even quit her own band to play the housewife role. Cute, right? But after Peter left the band, Christine jumped into Fleetwood Mac full-time, and the touring, booze, and band chaos wrecked their marriage. By 1976, boom, divorce. Then she moved on with the band's lighting guy, Curry Grant, and wrote "You Make Loving Fun" about him, but told John it was about her dog. Legend. Now brace yourself for the Shakespearean love saga of Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham. These two were high school sweethearts turned musical soulmates.
She transferred into my high school as a senior. She did play guitar, and she and I interacted slightly on a musical level at a couple of social events.
Struggling together in the 60s and joining Fleetwood Mac as a package deal in '75.
Lindsey, would you like to join Fleetwood Mac? Very much out of the blue. And of course, my response was, well, if you take me, you'll have to take my girlfriend too.
But by '76, they were over, right in time to bleed their heartbreak into the masterpiece Rumors. Dreams was Stevie's ethereal goodbye. Go your own way? Lindsey's salty response. And still, their fiery chemistry kept flaring for decades. Stevie's Silver Springs was the final word on their split, until Lindsey got booted from the band in 2018, allegedly because of her. That's right, Stevie reportedly gave the band an ultimatum after some backstage tension, and poof, Lindsey was gone. And Lindsey Buckingham, the brooding guitar genius, married Kristen Messner in 2000, had 3 kids, and spent most of the post-Mac era putting out amazing solo work. Oh, and let's not forget Mick Fleetwood, the heartbeat of the band and king of the chaos. 4 marriages, wild hair, and a love life straight out of a rock star's fever dream. His first wife? Model Jenny Boyd. Yes, Patty's sister. But with the group drowning in drugs and temptations, that marriage crashed by '76. He later married Sarah Recker, then Lynn Frankel. He's got 4 kids. Stevie also had a fling with Mick Fleetwood in 1977 while he was married, and while she was dating Don Henley of the Eagles. Woo!
In love with Stevie, and I think it's fair to say she was likewise.
Stevie later called Mick one of her great loves, and Mick confessed the whole messy truth to his wife. Spoiler, it didn't end well. The affair fizzled fast.
Because we both knew that Fleetwood Mac was going to go on probably longer than anybody's marriage, and that it was important that we be friends.
But the emotional damage, permanent.
We kept it together. And then, towards the end of the recording of Rumors, all the relationships really blew up.
Just when you thought the romantic drama was juicy enough, hold on to your tambourines. Because the real madness behind Fleetwood Mac, drugs, addiction, and enough dysfunction to fuel 1,000 rock ballads. During their Rumors reign, the band wasn't just high on fame, they were literally high. Cocaine was the unofficial 6th member.
Brandy, cigarettes, pot, and coke. And that was just the wicked little circled rat's wheel, I call it, that everybody was on.
With whispers that they almost gave their dealer a thank you in the album credits. No joke.
Drugs and rock and roll syndrome was alive and well during the making of that album.
Stevie Nicks' coke habit reportedly topped $1 million. After kicking coke, she tragically slid into an 8-year addiction to Klonopin, which she later called worse than coke.
I would have been dead. Absolutely. It would have killed me. In another year, probably would have killed me.
Mick Fleetwood wasn't far behind. He later admitted his drug problem was the worst of all.
Booze and cocaine. More booze, more cocaine. And that was me for a long time.
And it eventually wiped out his finances. Hello bankruptcy in 1984. John McVie drowned his heartbreak in booze, which nearly killed him until a seizure in '87 finally scared him sober. Even sweet Christine had her wild days, partying with coke and champagne until she cleaned up around '83. She retired briefly from the band. Sadly, she died of ischemic stroke and metastasized cancer in 2022. Lindsey Buckingham was more of a pot guy, but yes, he dabbled in the white stuff too. Nobody was innocent. And let's not forget the original Mac Men. Peter Green's heavy LSD use is believed to have triggered his long-term mental illness, while Jeremy Spencer's drug habits played a part in his eventual breakdown and bizarre exit from the band. But the drugs were only part of the storm. The band was a battleground, a place where ex-lovers clashed, egos flared, and fights exploded. Stevie and Lindsey, constant shouting matches, sometimes getting physical. Creative tensions only added fuel. Lindsey often felt like the underappreciated genius, while Christine played the role of emotional referee, keeping the whole thing from collapsing. Even back in the beginning, Peter Green was frustrated with Jeremy Spencer's lack of input, showing that Fleetwood Mac drama didn't start in the 70s. It was baked in from day one. From powder-fueled madness to heartbreak-fueled hits, Fleetwood Mac lived their songs and barely survived the wreckage. Welcome to the most dysfunctional family in rock history.
Because we're all incredibly close friends that have been unbelievably dysfunctional at certain points and also been incredibly in love.
And somehow, they still made magic. If you thought the love triangles and drug-fueled drama were messy, buckle up. Fleetwood Mac's scandal file runs deep, and some of it is downright jaw-dropping. Let's start with one of the most WTF moments in rock history. Jeremy Spencer's vanishing act. In 1971, right in the middle of a US tour, Jeremy disappeared. Poof, gone. No warning, no note. Turns out, he ditched the band just hours before a show in LA to join a cult, the creepy Children of God. And it gets worse. Years later, Jeremy was accused of participating in child abuse and even producing explicit material involving children while in the group. What started as a spiritual awakening ended in dark, disturbing controversy. But wait, there's more. Cue the madness of the fake Fleetwood Mac. Yep, that really happened. In 1974, while the real band was taking a breather, their manager Clifford Davis cooked up a bizarre scheme. He slapped together a group of totally unrelated musicians and sent them on tour under the Fleetwood Mac name. Fans were not having it, and lawsuits flew like guitar picks. Davis even claimed he owned the name. It triggered a 4-year legal brawl that ultimately pushed the real Fleetwood Mac to relocate to the US. A move that set the stage for their legendary second act. And just when you think things had cooled off, enter Lindsey Buckingham's messy 2018 firing. After more than 4 decades of ups, downs, and hits, Lindsey was booted from the band, reportedly after Stevie Nicks gave an ultimatum following a weird, tension-filled night at a Music Hairs event. Lindsey didn't take it lying down. He sued the band for $12 to $14 million, claiming breach of contract and lost tour money. The case never made it to trial. They settled quietly, and Lindsey was replaced by heartbreaker Mike Campbell and Crowded House frontman Neil Finn. From cults to con men to courtroom drama, Fleetwood Mac didn't just make music history, they rewrote the scandal playbook, and somehow they always came back with another hit.
When are you going to break up? Because I don't get how you're pulling this off. All of us. It was the music, and we weren't about to turn away from it.
Okay, so we've dished on the scandals, the affairs, and the drama. But would you believe Fleetwood Mac also had a super generous side? In 2018, the band was crowned Music Hairs Person of the Year, 'cause that year alone, their star-studded tribute pulled in a jaw-dropping $7 million for musicians in need. Over the decades, they've backed causes like the Elton John AIDS Foundation, Red Cross, Sweet Relief Musicians Fund, Starkey Hearing Foundation, and more. They even teamed up with Soundwaves Art to turn music into therapy, literally, by supporting Nordhoff Robin's work with healing through sound. But the solo efforts? Even more touching. Stevie Nicks is the rock queen with a heart. She launched her Band of Soldiers project to help wounded U.S. veterans and supports causes like Big Brothers Big Sisters, City of Hope, and the Arizona Heart Foundation. Mick Fleetwood, ever the showman, founded the Mick Fleetwood Foundation to boost music education in Hawaii. Plus, he's long been in the fight for animal welfare. His charity drum set even helped fund elephant conservation. Lindsey Buckingham turned Go Your Own Way into Give Your Own Way, selling signed art prints to support children in conflict. He's even donated guitar string bracelets to raise money for Planned Parenthood. Christine McVie kept giving, even in death. Her estate ensured that all auction proceeds went to support struggling musicians. Total class act. Even Jeremy Spencer, with all his wild history, played charity gigs in India, and now has a legacy fund helping young actors at the Canberra Youth Theatre. And founding member Peter Green, quiet and reclusive, sure, but quietly super generous. He gave money to those in need and supported cancer charities in Bermuda. Sadly, Peter Green died on the 25th of July, 2020 at 73. His family even set up a scholarship fund for Bermudian students in his name. So yeah, Fleetwood Mac might have been a beautiful disaster, but when it came to giving back, their hearts, solid gold. So what are the members of Fleetwood Mac up to these days? And who's cashing the biggest royalty checks? Stevie Nicks is still our mystical rock goddess, twirling on tour stages and maybe dropping her first album soon. But don't hold your breath for a Mac reunion. Stevie's made it crystal clear, Fleetwood Mac is done without Christine. Period. That said, she's still sitting pretty on a solo throne and reportedly worth over $120 million. Mick Fleetwood remains the soul of the band and keeps the Fleetwood Mac flame burning, at least in spirit. He's even hinted at reuniting with Lindsey Buckingham in some form. Drama never dies. Estimated net worth? Around $40 million. John McVie has fully embraced the quiet life. Think sailboats, sunsets, and total privacy. After years of rocking arenas, he's traded in the bass for boating. But don't feel too bad. He's got a cozy $50 million net worth to float on. Lindsey Buckingham is still shredding and singing, even after undergoing emergency heart surgery in 2019 that damaged his vocal cords. But he's still releasing solo albums and hitting the road when he can. Estimated worth? Around $100 million. Not bad for a guy who got kicked out of his own band twice. Jeremy Spencer remains the wild card. After disappearing into the Children of God cult, he's now living in Ireland and doing everything. Writing, illustrating, and yes, still making music. He even had a stint with Five Finger Death Punch and now fronts a death metal band called Semi-Rotted. Oh, and he's also a reserve police officer. Seriously, you can't make this stuff up. So while Fleetwood Mac may be done as a band, the legend? That's eternal. And these rockers are still making waves, musically, financially, and in true Mac fashion, a little chaotically. From coke-fueled studio sessions to love triangles, fake bands, courtroom brawls, and surprise metal drummers, they didn't just make history, they lived it. And despite all the drama, all the heartbreak, and all the lawsuits, they left us with a soundtrack that still hits decades later. They may have gone their own ways, but Fleetwood Mac's legacy is anything but broken. It's a tangled, glitter-dusted masterpiece of love, loss, lawsuits, and legendary music. And if drama were a Grammy category, they'd win it every time.